Hey friends, we have covered wet sanding with a little foam block, wet sanding by hand, little concentrated areas, little scratches. We've covered that to a certain extent. Let's move on a little bit to machine sanding, wet sanding, color sanding. And we'll be doing that on a flat surface, and that's where that's where the machine sanding comes in perfectly on those larger flat areas. You buzz it down a lot quicker, you get it a lot flatter, and when it comes to that, I can get away with the weaker, smaller sanders, the little Griot's Garage 3-inch that I use a lot, and also the 5-inch or the Torx 10X. I can get away with those because I kind of finish off the wet sanding to a certain extent, and that extent is almost to a point where you can almost finish it off by hand, but I just think it's so much quicker and safer that way. But we'll cover that a little bit today, and if you have any questions at the end, please don't hesitate. I'll help you out. We are trying to remove all of this. Vinyl lettering was removed. The outlines are left over, a little bit of texturing from them. There are scratches, like the vinyl was removed by a garden rake or a shovel. So we'll have to remove all of those. There's also a little bit of oxidation. We'll have to kind of blend the area in with the rest of the hood because we're not going to wet sand the whole vehicle. And it starts off, as always, with masking the area off. If there's no edges or ridges or anything to protect, I always use it for an outline anyways. And there is the top corner of the headlight to protect. Another basic step here is we will use Strippies by Angel Wax here. You can use whatever you want, IP or whatever you have, to strip wax or sealant before we start the wet sand. We don't want to clog our sandpaper with wax or sealant and waste time trying to get through that before we even get to the paint. The discs I like to use the discs instead of the paper. They can be quite expensive for a box, a little over 50 bucks. So as usual, we're going to start with the 1000 grit. You could start with 800 or whatever you like to start with. With this texture and what we have to remove here, I'm going to start with 1000. So the discs that I like to work with are 3-inch. They fit perfectly on the 3-inch Griot's Garage polisher as a hook and loop backing plate that I have. You could definitely do it by hand if you want. You could wrap the paper around a sponge or a magic eraser or any kind of sanding block that has a little bit of give to it. Now, what would be ideal here would be a little bit of a larger machine with a 5.5-inch backing plate. Those are being used at the moment, so I have no choice but to use the little 3-inch here, which is no problem. The discs are very aggressive. They cut well, so I won't be spending too much time on here. What we want to do is a crisscross pattern. First we go left to right, then up and down, and if we need to, we'll repeat this process. As I'm going back and forth, I am checking the area. I'm keeping an eye on the left and right side of the pad as I move it. And I'm looking at what I'm going to pass the disc over. And then I look to the other side and see how it has affected the area as I pass over it. So that way I know how many times I need to make a pass on the area to correct what I need to correct. I need to go back and forth and make passes on the area until either the scratch is gone, the blemish is gone, oxidation is removed, or in this case, the vinyl lettering outlines and raised areas are gone completely. Now we are going to go to the 3000 grit. At this point, The 1000 grit has done its work. That's the workhorse. The next two steps are only to remove the sanding marks from the previous steps. Those of you paying attention may have noticed the residue control. Just like when polishing or compounding. With the wet sanding, between every step I am going to rinse off and clean off the sanding disc. If I'm not going to use it, I'm going to clean it off and remove it and put it away. But if I'm going to use it, I'm going to rinse it off, I'm going to clean it and get it fresh for the next pass. If I need to, I'll just replace it with a new one. There are many types of DAs to use for wet sanding. There are the little ones like this. There are the 4-inch to 5-inch. There are electric. There are air, pneumatic. There are pneumatic with water lines that come in and give a constant miss or a constant flow of water on the area you're trying to correct. That is a tool I may choose to bring in if I am removing orange peel texture from clear coat on the whole car. The flow of water keeps the sanding disc clean, and you are able to stay on the panel a little bit longer. I actually love it because it's the ultimate residue control. Not only does it keep the sanding disc clean, but it also keeps residue flowing away from the area you're trying to correct. And here I just want to show you what it looks like after the 3000 grit. It's dull. The raised marks are gone, all the scratches are gone, so it's time to get to the 5000 grit and really refine this area. By the way, with all the steps here, pressure on the tool is only the weight of my arms resting on it. They are just there to guide the tool. I'm not pressing down with 32 pounds per square inch, putting a dent in the hood. Just guide the tool. Let the tool do the work. That's what it's made for. You can pretty much refine all you want, but what I like to do is, depending on how long I've been on the panel correcting what I have to correct and get rid of, the orange peel effect may be starting to really level off and all the peaks and valleys kind of leveled. I don't want to do that with this whole area here. I want to kind of keep some of that orange peel because the rest of the hood has orange peel. If I get rid of it here, it's going to draw more attention than the problems we had before. So I'm going to refine and keep an eye on that texture. I'm going to see it go down a little bit as I refine here, but I don't want to make it disappear altogether, if that makes sense. Another thing I want to add is most of the guys out there, and even some of the guys at the shop here, would have jumped onto a polisher long ago. And here's what it looks like now. It's refined. It's actually getting a little bit shinier. And as you can see from the side angle here, we don't have far to go. And that's a great point as to why I like to jump to the 5000. I don't like to be hanging on the DA or the rotary all day. I like to just jump from the 5000 grit to a little bit of polishing. 3 pea-sized dots on here. We're going to dot the area. We're going to start polishing, and it won't take long at all. From the 5000 grit point on, from here on, it's going to be mere minutes, and we're going to be done. You'll notice I also have just a finishing pad on the 5-inch. This is the Torx 10X, and we should have actually removed this tape before we even started because I like to go outside the boundary lines then when I polish or compound. It helps to blend in the area even further. The guys can use what they want. The Flex is popular with the guys, but when you see me finish, it's going to be probably with this or one of the Griot's Garage units. You're not going to see me with a $500 unit just to be on the area for a minute or two to finish up. Like I said, I wet sand like this probably 2-3 times a day, and I don't like to be on the polishers very long when I'm done. So I'll go finish up with the 5000 grit and just hop on this for a minute or two and get the area glossy and ready for a wax or a sealant or a coating. We're finishing up here with the Angel Wax Redemption. I either grab that or the Angel Wax Perfect Polish. Those are 2 great chemicals for me when I like to correct and bring out some gloss and shine to white paint. You'll see me use it all the time. Yes, it is my absolute favorite, but I also love Menzerna and the Wolfgang products, and you will see me using Ardex products a lot as well, especially when I'm on the road doing boats or RVs. Their product line is pretty good. Okay, we'll wipe off the polish residue and come in for a look and see how we've done. It's not easy to get a good look at white. Let me try and get the perfect angle with the light so you guys could see, but it turned out the way we wanted it to. The texture is gone, the scratches are gone, oxidation is gone, and the surface is bright, glossy, popping just the way we want it. Alright guys, this video is winding down. I went into as much detail as I could, try to cover all the bases for you guys. So many situations where wet sanding with a DA, you know, a little 3-inch or 4-inch or 5.5-inch or whatever you have would come into play and would work great. Oxidation, the situation we took care of there where we removed vinyl and there was still an outline and even actually texture from the vinyl letters still showing. Scratches, a large area of swirling. So you can benefit greatly with that type of sanding, wet sanding as well. So I just wanted to take a couple minutes and show that to you. If you have any questions or concerns or want to add anything, don't hesitate. This is Brian from Apex Detail. We'll catch you next time.